Now, question, let's see, it is about social norm. This, it is talking about social norm, and then it determines moral standard. The social norm and moral standard, we have to, social norm and moral standards. And then we have to say this, do you agree? Give view. This is why relationship. What we have told that concept, example, philosophy, conclusion. Follow this. Now we can acronym has C, E, E, C. This. Now social norm. Now here you have to be precise. Concept here means what we want. This is a question where the first question does not demand preciseness, but this question demands preciseness. You have to be precise. Means accurate, let's say, social norm. Are you able to define it? You have to define social norm. What do you have to define? You have to see that social norms are nothing but unwritten code of standards of behavior in a society adopted over a period of time through tradition, custom, blah blah this. Like saying marriage rituals, family, let's say, values, our social cultural standards, we can say. So arranged marriage views related, marriage as an important aspect, right? Not live in, let's say, culture. The social norms are that ki marriage should be more arranged, but we don't have any written record on that. The social norm, we can say. Now we have to tell ki moral standards. After writing this, when you have to write two terms, first write social norm, then write moral standards. Now moral standards are, on the other hand, let's say that they are the standards of human conduct based on the belief. Let's say here will be based on the belief, knowledge, and values. So what an individual, let's say, that he has belief, knowledge, and values. It is this. It is moral standard. Now we have to relate it that ki how social norms influence first part of the answer. Now second parts are also related. And in relation, you have to relate this. How this influence. Question is asking this. How social norm influence this? Determines. What it is? The term determines. Why it determines? Because you know that any child. The child is born in that society. No? The society has social norm. The society has social norm. So whatever the social norm you have, family, society, etc., child introduce his own sense of knowledge, child, let's say, own sense of knowledge, moral autonomy जिसको बोलते हैं, moral autonomy will come later. His own sense of self or moral autonomy will come later. This will know that. So society, you will find that this influence. The first child is influenced by social norms in the society which we belong. The social norms will influence moral standard because some social norms, let's say, if we have some social norms, let's say that this, some social norms would be nothing but, let's say, moral standards. They will have in them rightness, wrongness, right conduct, wrong conduct, right values, wrong values, social norms. They will also have, like, let's say that in our country we can have tolerance, this compassion, respect to elders. This. So we can have some, let's say that social norms, and hence since a person belongs to a society and society has social norm, hence his moral standard is also influenced. Means, let's say that these things will influence this. His belief, knowledge, and values would be influenced by social norm. Therefore, we can say that to some extent that since human belongs to society, human is a social animal, Aristotle says. Right. So Aristotle says human is a social animal. So on the basis of that, we can say that yes, it is. Aristotle says all these things, so we can say this, and on this basis, we can say that it influences. Our social norms determine moral standards. But now, thereafter, let's say with part second. Now we have to third part. You have to write the question. This give your view. Do you agree? Let's say. So we can say to some extent. Here to some extent. This now. This let's say that you have to counter it. What do you have to counter? So many times individuals, social norm is one factor, human. Human is influenced by society, that is called social norm. Religious values. This, then you can say that moral, ethical standard. This you can say, law you can say. This. So there can be, let's say, other, let's say, aspect. The human is not only influenced by social norm. There are religious values also. Religion will also, law of that country will also influence. And his own, let's say that critical thinking. The person his own critical thinking. Like a child may not necessarily believe in what parents say. This child may resist. You know that a child may resist. So since individual knowledge, belief, values ultimately determine moral, so it is quite possible that some individuals in the same society may not agree with the social norms of the society. Like now examples. So you can see that intercaste marriage. You can say life in LGBT. This. So you will find is how some people, let's say, will not agree. They have developed, and those who have developed this kind of things, it generates friction in society. It generates friction in society. Hence, you have to see, we have to understand these things. That is how we have to counter it. So what we have to say that social norms to some extent determines moral, let's say, standards, but it is not necessarily true, because human can develop his own moral standard. Like say when sati practice was rejected, till that social norm was that sati practice. But thereafter the social norm happened that someone rejected it. So when for the first time someone rejects it, so there are several social evils, let's say that. There are social evils practices, someone will reject it. That time, let's say his moral standard is different from society. Hence, it is not necessary that the social norm will determine moral standard. Many times, since there is a continuous friction in society, now the fourth part we can say this, the many times there is a continuous friction in society. The friction may result into change in social norm. So the situation can be like this. It influences this. It influences this. So, hence towards end we can conclude that philosophy, normative theories, so those who are philosophers or leaders, they have challenged social norms, especially social evil practices like Vivekananda, challenging the rituals of the society by introducing rationalist, humanistic type of philosophy. And that way we can finish, we can end it.